Hi, everybody. I'm Frontline Feminist. This is our new news hour talk show where we're just going to be literally talking about what's going on in Canada, what's going on around the world. I'm not going to be inviting any people up as a panel. We're going to do it as a panelist news hour, but I am going to be reading your comments. I'm going to try to stay involved in the comments and make sure that I am talking about what you guys are bringing up. If I miss something, because comments go through fast, please just write it in again. I promise I won't get annoyed. The only way I'll get annoyed is if you're somebody that's trying to be rude or disrespectful, in which case I will just either ignore you if it's not that bad, but if it's really insulting to a lot of people in the comments, I am going to block you and kick you out. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about what's on everybody's mind. I have a little list here that I'm going to go off of. I have no idea if I'm going to make it all the way through the list, so just bear with me. But obviously everyone is talking about the Liberal Party, the resignation of Justin Trudeau, and I'm going to make this very clear because it seems to be, there's a little confusion around it. He said he was going to resign once the Liberal Party finds a new leader, because there is a lot of talk about how he's not really resigned yet. He's still taking money, which is crazy because that is how our government system works. You don't just leave the country without a prime minister until you figure out a new leader. You stay on until that decision is made. So, I know a lot of people are talking about Mark Carney right now, but Mark Carney has not actually officially said that he is going to be running, even though he might. There's a really good chance that he might. But the only two official declared candidates right now are Frank Baylis and Chandra Arya. So Frank Baylis is a former member of Parliament. I think he went all the way to 2019, but he's a businessman. He advocates for addressing affordability issues. He hasn't really come out with too much for us. Chandra Arya, though, did post a 4-page letter on Twitter talking about his policies. I don't know if you guys have read it. Have any of you guys read his 4-page letter that he posted on X? I can't see anybody saying the comments. Not yet. Okay. So what really shocked me, to be honest, is that in this letter that he posted about what he wants to do in Canada, he wants to make us a republic, which I found very odd. I mean, he supports abolishing the monarchy. He wants to rip us away from the Commonwealth, which I find very odd, like very odd. It seems like a conservative move to me. He's promising a more efficient government, not really saying how, but just promising that there's going to be more efficiency. He opposed diversity quotas. He wants to remove the carbon tax, but he did say some good things, like he recognizes Palestine as a state. He advocates for Canada's position as an energy superpower. So it's a very big mix of like some really major conservative talking points with some liberal talking points. But to be honest, after I read that letter, in my head, I went, I don't want this guy to be the leader of the Liberal Party. In my personal opinion, again, personal opinion there, nothing bad to do with him. I don't know enough about him. All I know is that 4-page letter that I read, and what sent off a red flag for me was that he's saying that he wants to make Canada a republic. I don't know about you guys, but I think that we do really well at having the support of Europe and still having ties with the UK. Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit scary for him to write that in there. But with somebody like Mark Carney, if he is going to announce it, which he probably will, especially after seeing that interview that he did with The Daily Show, I feel like a lot of people are going to go towards Mark more than anybody else. And obviously, I think the Liberal Party is going to represent that in their choosing of a new leader. And what I heard from a lot of people, I was watching TikToks today just to see people's feeling about Mark Carney, and it seems to be a little bit divided, right? You have some hardcore liberals that are very happy with him, and they said, oh, he's much more charming than I thought. He's way more charismatic than I thought. He was able to crack some jokes. He seemed to have really good policies and a good way to look at the future. But then you have other people on the left that were part of the Liberal Party that are now saying that, they would never want to vote for a banker, and him being a banker, they're looking at as a negative thing. Now, again, this is just the opinions that I've been seeing. This is not my opinion. I actually have not made up my own opinion about Mark yet. I feel like I need to get to know him a lot better, and I need to read a lot more about him before I can make a proper decision. Me personally, though, I'm in a riding where Liberals don't even stand a chance, so I'm going to vote NDP, and the reason that I moved into my riding is so that I can vote NDP, because that's the party that I feel aligns with my values a lot more. However, I am somebody that does believe that the left should kind of be working together right now. The other person is Chrystia Freeland, right? Obviously, we know her background. Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister. She's speculated to be considering a leadership bid, but has not officially declared. My own perspective on this is that she is way too closely tied to Justin, and the Conservatives are just going to completely crush her because of that. So I don't think this is a good time for her to run. I'm personally not the biggest fan, just because of the way that, she acted when Trudeau wanted to move her to a different position. I feel like that could have been handled a little bit better, maybe more in private. But that's just my own personal opinion there. And then the third one would be Karina Gould. So she's a member of Parliament for Burlington and former Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. And the status on her is that she's expected to announce her candidacy soon. So that would actually be pretty cool. The only thing that I'm worried about here, and I'm going to be very blunt when I say this, is that she's a woman. And from what we saw in the United States, I don't know if this is the time to be placing a woman as a leader. Not because I don't want to. It actually breaks my heart that I'm saying this, but I'm just looking at public opinion, right? And unfortunately, public opinion on women leaders right now is not looking the best. Which is odd, because Elon Musk did bring Alice, the leader of the AFD, on his live and promoted her. And he's okay with her being the leader because she supports extreme right-wing policies. Odd, but we'll go to that maybe a little bit later. Okay, I'm trying to get these. I'm trying to scroll through these. Good. Yeah, unfortunately, it is still hanging in. It's unfortunate, but it's, yeah. Jojen said, Mexico's women president is doing good as far as I know. She's handling Trump well, at least. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of people that believe that women can be in places of leadership. I'm just looking at like the North American narrative right now. Mostly the American narrative, but we as Canada have been adopting that because of the misinformation on social media. So I don't know. I just look at what happened in the United States, and I do not want us to repeat the same mistake. And I'm really, really hoping that we're going to smarten up before election, but you never know. I'm definitely hoping for it, and I'll keep pushing for it. So that's who we know as the official opposition right now. Sorry, not official opposition, but the official Liberal nominees, which are just those two. And we're expecting Mark Carney to probably come out and declare very shortly, and probably Karina Gould as well. I'm not so sure about Chrystia Freeland, but I guess we'll wait and see. The people that we know are not running for sure is François-Philippe Champagne. He said he was, people were rumoring that he was going to run, but he actually announced that he will not seek Liberal leadership, and he's choosing to focus on his current ministerial responsibilities. So that is what has been happening with the leadership race for the Liberals. If you guys have any questions, please put them in there. Somebody said, Jagmeet, who would vote for him? I vote based on party, not necessarily leader. I think a lot of other Canadians do too, that it really has to do with what party aligns with my views the most. We don't vote for a prime minister, we vote for a representative. So that's how I look at it. All right. Now, let's talk about how Canada's been responding to the trade war that Donald Trump keeps threatening us with, because that's a reality that we're all dealing with right now. There's very mixed views within our own political landscape of how this should be handled. Like, we see two conservative premiers, Doug Ford and Danielle Smith, who are having almost opposite reactions to Donald Trump's threats of the 25% tariffs that he's placing, that he wants to place on everything, right? So Doug Ford has come out to be very much critical of it, also criticizing the federal government as well. But Danielle Smith decided to go play some golf and have some lunch and hang out over the weekend over at Mar-a-Lago with Jordan Peterson and Kevin, which I found kind of strange and a little bit odd. Obviously, it's because, she's in charge of our energy sector, which is Alberta. And so I'm guessing in her mind, she just thought that she could go down there and cozy up to him so that maybe Trump would spare her and spare Alberta. I have no idea. But she did tell everybody that she's going on a family vacation. She said she was going to go on a family vacation, and she was at Mar-a-Lago playing golf and hanging out. So who knows what'll happen there. I do like the stance that most of our other leaders have taken, where they're telling Donald Trump, like, no way. Let's figure out a way to either do some retaliatory tariffs, but definitely not cozying up to him, right? She said, we still have to plan tariffs. Don't think it went well. Yeah, I don't think it went well either. I genuinely don't think that Donald Trump is going to give her any kind of special treatment. I think at the end of the day, they just all enjoyed hanging out and spending some time together. Yeah, kissing the ring indeed. Doug Ford knows how to talk when an election is coming up. Yeah, he does. I mean, to be honest, I don't like the guy at all, but I can get behind some of the statements that he made when it comes to how we should be standing up for ourselves right now. Yeah, and to be honest, I don't even know how much Trump is actually the one in charge, or if he's just the face of the Republican Party, because there's a lot of things in the United States that are happening behind the scenes that we don't really know about, that I don't even think Trump knows about. I think he's just there because he likes the attention and he likes getting rich. So, yeah, all our institutions are filled with criminals. There's definitely a lot of them. There's definitely a lot of them. Yeah, some guy said Elon and Project 2025 are in charge. Yeah, I was going to say, I think that Elon is a little bit more in charge than Trump at this point. And we saw it happening with that bipartisan bill that almost shut the government down, right? Trump was actually all for it. He had no problems with it. They were about to sign it until Musk caused absolute chaos, right? And once he caused chaos, Donald Trump just went, oh, okay, I guess we'll do it your way. And then all those programs got cut, right? Research for kids with cancer got cut. Hurricane victim funds got cut. Farmer funds got cut. There's a lot of things that got cut out of that bill because Elon Musk didn't want it to be there for government efficiency. So, yeah, somebody said Trump just wants to golf and be emperor. Yeah, I think he more so just wants to golf and wants attention. I think Musk wants to be emperor right now. I think that's his big goal. I think he genuinely wants to be like leader of the world. There's there's been a lot of mental health specialists that have come out and said recently that they think that he might be going through some form of a midlife crisis or mental health breakdown through what he's been doing in terms of, tweeting, or should we call it Xing, 10 to 20 times daily, if not more. I mean, that's what he's doing right now. And he's involving himself in policy around the world. Like, it's not even just about America, it's about everywhere. So that's why it's scary, because Trump isn't doing this. Elon is. So I want to see what else I wanted to chat about here. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Canada, the biggest news that we see in our mainstream media right now is this leadership race for the Liberals, and then what conservatives are saying about the Liberals, right? I don't know if you guys watched Pierre's last big speech where he said that it doesn't matter who runs as a Liberal, no matter what, it's still Justin Trudeau. They're all Justin Trudeau. Everything is Justin Trudeau. So I think he is struggling. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I don't think he looks so well. Like, have you noticed that when he talks, he does a lot of gulping? Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed that. But he seems a little bit nervous, and he seems a little bit more pale than usual. So I don't know if he's actually worried. He could be worried about the interference report that's coming out at the end of the month. He could be worried that now he doesn't have Justin Trudeau to go to as his number one enemy, and that he might have to deal with somebody else, which I'm sure, again, he's just going to call Mark Carney, he's going to call him Carbon Tax Carney, just to keep up the slogans and the carbon tax, axe the tax slogans, right? But he doesn't look super sure of himself lately. I know his followers are going to think differently about that, but I'm wondering, do any of you guys see that? Like, do you see the gulping and like the nervousness when he's been talking in public recently? Yeah. Yes. People are agreeing with it. Yeah. They're like, yep. Yeah. So if you don't see it, that's okay. Maybe, not everybody sees the subtleties sometimes, especially if that's the leader that you really want to win. But to me, he looks nervous. So I'm really hoping that there's something good in that interference report. I really do. However, I do have a feeling like we're going to find out some information, but then nothing's going to be done, because that seems to be the trend now in the world, where criminals are just getting away with being criminals. Billionaires are getting away with gouging us. These are all things that we know of, and yet nobody's doing anything about it. So I guess we'll see what happens at the end of the month when it comes to the interference report. What else has been going on in Canada? We have the Trucker Convoy 2.0. No idea if that's going to be happening or not. But what I find interesting is that the original convoyers are actually telling the, this new group that's been trying to put together Convoy 2.0. And I don't even know if I should call it a group or if I should call it the 22-year-old kid who graduated high school in 2022 that's trying to put this all together. But the leaders of the original convoy are basically telling him, don't do this. It's a bad idea. But he might still get enough people rallying behind him. So we might see Convoy, 2.0, which is more like Convoy 9.0, 10.0 at this point. But we might see an attempt for it January 25th to demand elections, which I think is funny because nobody's in Ottawa right now. The government's been prorogued. So I don't know exactly what they're going to achieve with that. Maybe it could just bring more attention to the Conservative Party. Don't know. Maybe it's good attention. Maybe it's bad attention. No idea. But that is just the news of what they're planning. So I keep seeing it all over my feed all the time. People rallying up behind the Convoy 2.0. So we'll see what happens there. I think that's kind of mostly it, what I wanted to touch on for Canada. I think that things will come up as I go through some of the comments. But those are the big news, right? So I'm just going to look through the comments quickly here. So in the comments, just tell me what you guys think of of how things are looking like for the Liberal Party. Like, let me know, were you a Liberal voter before and now you might go a different way? Were you an NDP voter and now you want to go Liberal? What does that look like for you? Is this whole mess driving some people away from the Liberal Party to a different party? And if so, why and which party? Yeah, so Cher said that the young 22-year-old that I talked about for Freedom Convoy 2.0, he's from New Brunswick. Yeah, so somebody said, I'm a Liberal. And are you going to, do you think you're going to vote Liberal this time? Do you have somebody in mind that you would vote for? Like if Mark Carney becomes the leader of the Liberals, would that be something that you would like to see and you would vote for? Or would that sway you to, for example, go and vote for NDP instead? Staying Liberal, Liberal voter. I'm not optimistic. Okay, so there's some people in here that are like, I'm Liberal because I'm Liberal and I'm sticking with the Liberals no matter who. Okay, so what about this? I know that it's probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen here, but what if Andrea Charia, the guy who wants to make us a republic, becomes leader of the Liberal Party? What would you guys do at that point? Or what would you do if you saw the Liberal Party move more to the right and adopt more conservative policies? How would you guys feel about that? Yeah, Sparkly, I did too. That's exactly what I did. I moved to an NDP riding so I could vote for them. Yeah. See a lot of NDP voters, some Green voters. Yeah, see that's the part that I worry about, and I kind of want to touch on. I maybe we'll touch on the show on Thursday where it's more so of an open conversation. But somebody said I have to go Liberal because NDP has no strength here, right? So this is a problem, especially in Eastern Canada. And that's something I really want to be able to sit down and have a talk with the NDP party about this. Like, what do we do that? Do we just ignore those people? What are we going to do about putting stronger MPs in there in the future and promoting NDP there in the future? So I definitely want to have a conversation around that. The Liberal Party is, yeah, so Joshin said the Liberal Party is crashing. They won't get a good leader because no one wants to risk their chance at leader when their odds are so low. That's what scares me too. Honestly, that's what scares me too. I wish that Justin would have just stayed on. I think that the Liberals kind of made not necessarily a similar mistake to the States, because in the States, like, Biden was very, very old, and he was definitely showing signs of deterioration, right? And Kamala was an amazing candidate. So what happened was unfortunate. I don't know if they're making the same mistake because Justin was young, and there was a lot of people that still supported him. I know that the conservatives absolutely crushed his image, but I think now it's actually a little bit worse because I do feel like whoever is going to step in that position has a good chance of losing, and that makes them not be able to potentially get voted in again at a later election, right? I voted conservative in the past. I voted liberal, and now I'll be voting NDP. What a move, hey? Going all the way from conservative to liberal to NDP. Hello, welcome to have you here. Perfect. Yeah, a lot of people are just saying liberal, liberal, liberal 100% of the time. Oh, I just bought my NDP membership. Nice. Yeah, it is. It like, even looking through these, I can tell that. Thank you for the hair comment. I can tell that this is where we're gonna have an issue, right? Splitting the vote. We know that. We know that very well. So I wish we had electoral reform, but it is what it is now. We have to do the best with what we can, and we definitely need to be having more conversations about what this is going to look like and how badly are we going to split the vote. Yeah, a lot of people are saying like it needs to be strategic this time. I'll be watching my riding closely, vote for the strongest. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. That's especially like in the ridings that I came from, where I lived before, I would have to look and see every time who's got the better chance. Okay, cool. I can see that a poll was started here, so this is nice. I'm going to share what describes your vote in the election. Always NDP got 55.56%. Always Liberal 22.22%. NDP switching to Liberal 0. Sorry, I had to laugh at that. Because yeah, that wouldn't happen usually. Liberal switching to NDP 11.11%. Always conservative 0%. Undecided 11.11%. Awesome. Yeah, people can disagree with each other. That's okay too. As long as we're all nice to each other and we're kind to each other, we can disagree. But I mean, looking at these conversations, I think this is one of the things that we need to focus on is how many people on the left are in disagreement with each other. And they have very strong opinions, and it's human nature that people just want to be right and people want to have their voices heard. And so when the left is split between these parties, it creates this issue, right? If we were all one party right now, we would have a really good chance that the conservatives wouldn't get in. The only reason that the conservatives would get in, because they're going to get in with a less percentage of the vote than, say, the Republicans in the United States, if we're just looking percentage wise. So there's less conservatives in Canada than Republicans in the States, but because we're splitting our vote on the left, they have a very good chance. Okay. Yeah, not the time to be divided. Canada has more left-wing parties than not. Yeah, so this is what we're going to have to figure out over the next couple of months. We're going to have to just have very kind conversations and be very patient with each other. Like, I really want to say this to, all the leftists that are here that are watching this. We need to be able to understand where each other is coming from and have compassion and have understanding so that we can figure out a way to get along with each other. I don't want to tell anybody how to vote. Like, I literally moved to a different riding 5 years ago so I could vote for who I wanted to vote for, right? And it just so happened that that was the time that I was going to move, and I just picked a riding to move into that suited my voting wants and needs, I guess, right? Not everybody can do that. We're not in that same place, right? So we have to figure out a way to talk to each other and bridge this gap so that we can come together and figure out what's the best strategy here. We don't necessarily have to go for strategic voting. Maybe we do something completely different, but again, people have to get on board. So we have to be patient. I'm going to keep preaching that, guys. Patience, patience, patience. Yeah, so we need more conservative parties. Yes, wouldn't it be nice if the conservatives were split right now? However, even though they are split, their other party is so tiny that they're not even in the polls. So, and also, one of the things that I want to say, since we're on this topic, when we're talking about the, extreme far right ideologies of the Conservative Party, I don't actually even know how they're going to play out, because Pierre does not, I don't think he's actually going to do what he says all the time, because he panders to whoever he's talking to, right? When he's talking to his specific right-wing base, he tells them things like, we're going to stop immigration, immigrants are bad, etc. And then when he talks to the immigrant community, he tells them, oh, we're going to bring in more immigrants. Immigrants are great. That's what makes this country strong. So he changes the way that he speaks depending on the groups that he's speaking to. He's not even an actual... He doesn't stand true in his far right extremism. He only stands true in being a salesperson and rallying people up with anger and rage. But he knows which groups not to do that to also. So I wish that his own group saw him for that, saw him for the fact that the aid that we're sending to Ukraine, right? Most of his supporters are against that. But then he'll go and do a speech about how Russia is the aggressor and we're going to keep helping Ukraine. Because that's what that group wanted to hear at that time. Do you see what I mean? So I wish that, the people that would be like the extreme right-wingers, I wish they would actually vote for their extreme right-wing party. But it's not Pierre. So, yeah, he's very dangerous in that way. And that's what makes him very unpredictable. And that's scary. But when I look at trying to predict what's going to happen with the conservatives, I just look at the trends of the conservatives around the world, right? I'm not just looking at Canada. That's one of the things that I always try to point out to people when we're talking about issues in Canada, is that they're not just issues in Canada. Right now, most of the issues that we're facing are global, especially in the westernized countries, right? We're seeing an extreme right-wing movement happen everywhere. It's not just here. It's already happened in the States. It almost happened in Romania. We're going to see what happens in March when they do their re-election, because they found out that some pro-Putin puppet was going to be placed there using social media advertising, and millions of pounds, well, 1 million pounds going in from foreign nations. So they canceled that election and they're redoing it in March, but now there's already a country that's divided based off that narrative that they keep buying into from social media. We have it happening in the UK. We have it happening in Germany. We have it happening in France, in Italy. The wealth inequality is not just here, right? The wealth inequality is everywhere. We're seeing end stage capitalism right now. So when I look at the trend for conservatives, I look at organizations like the IDU, which we know the Conservative Party of Canada is a member of. Like, Pierre Poilievre is on the IDU website. I know a lot of people have been like, oh, well, he's not even a member. Yes, he is, because the Conservative Party of Canada is a member and he's the leader. So you can go search that up yourself. But when you look at those ideologies, we can kind of figure out how it's going to play out, right? We know that we're going to have our public services cut. We know that they're most likely going to try to privatize water. We know that women's rights are not safe. Like, I get it. We're Canada. Nobody can just be like, oh, we're going to have a national ban on AB all of a sudden. No, they don't do that. They do it slowly in the background by defunding and defunding and defunding, right? Legislation for trans people. We are already seeing the movement happening in Alberta. So why wouldn't that happen nationwide when Pierre has actually campaigned on this? He has said out loud that he wants to block puberty blockers for anybody under 18. He doesn't want to let trans people be part of their gender sports team. So we're seeing this already in Alberta. And I genuinely believe like Alberta is a very good example of what's going to happen Canada-wide under conservatives. So it's the sad reality, but it gives us a good clue, right? I think some of the things that have happened in Ontario as well under Doug Ford can be a good clue, but it always comes down to mismanaging money, giving billionaires tax breaks, and cutting public programs for us. So we kind of know where their party is heading. Let's see what people are saying here. Yeah, Stephen Harper started the IDU and even praised Klaus Schwab, but I agree with not ruining children. I don't think that, I know what you're trying to get at here, but nobody's ruining children, okay? We need our leaders to stop talking about the economy and start talking about wealth inequality. Yeah, that's 100% correct. What sucks is that most of our leaders are part of the reason that we have wealth inequality. So I'm sure they don't want to give that away, right? That's why I'm an NDP voter, because I really like Justin Trudeau. I'm not going to lie. People are going to absolutely, hate me for saying this. I don't care. I did like Justin Trudeau. I think he was a great prime minister. I know that he made mistakes, but like, if you look at Canada's history, man, they've all made mistakes. And Justin Trudeau really did really good things for this country. So I back him up. But the Liberal Party itself is, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to do a gift goal here. But the Liberal Party itself is quite centrist, and in my personal opinion, they're more like, they're a little bit center right. They still give way too much to the billionaires and the corporations without keeping them responsible. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to figure things out here. It's the first time that I'm hosting a live, so I really need to uh, learn some things. So thank you for your patience as we keep going. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this new goal, but it just takes me to a place where it wants me to actually give. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's good. Sorry, I thought it was trying to get me to give gifts myself. There we go. Perfect. How often should I be resetting the gifts? Is it like every 15 minutes or so, just so that I have an idea? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so if we had better parties to choose from, I'd probably go even more to the left, but that's personally me. I think we can make a social democracy work where we're taking care of the people, and we're also letting people get rich and make money. Just, we'd really need to think about how much is too much, how much is enough. Like, do you need $422 billion? I don't think so. So I think that people can have very rich lives, having mansions and yachts and all of that stuff, no problem, without letting people suffer because of it. There comes a point where your wealth does not benefit you anymore. It becomes, in my opinion, a mental disease. I said it. Canada needs to make more of a Scandinavian model for us citizens. Yep, more things for our taxes, 100%. 100%. I mean, you see it. You see it in Scandinavian countries where for almost the same amount of taxes, maybe just a little bit more, they get free university. Could you imagine what this country would be like if we had free university, if everybody could go get educated for free? Yeah, I think that would be really, really good. I don't know too much about Jamie. Somebody asked me my thoughts on Jamie Baptiste for Lib Leader. I don't know enough to be able to have a real opinion on it, so I'm not going to discuss it until I do more research. Yeah, I would go back to school and become a doctor, right? Yeah, when people are getting upset because I said that it's free university. No, you're right. Taxes pay for it. You're right. You also have 4-hour work weeks, free childcare. I would be fine giving away my money so that the people in my community could have education, childcare, healthcare, dental care. It really does not bother me to pay money in taxes so that I can take care of my fellow Canadians. I have probably spent a ton of money in taxes in my life without personally necessarily benefiting from them. But I know that one day I might really need those services. So I'm okay with paying that money. All right. I think we've chatted enough about Canada. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the rest of the world. I know we've already touched on it, but I think we need to keep speaking out about it. Let's talk about something that's been on a lot of our minds, right? The TikTok ban. Is it happening? Probably. I know that there's a lot of rumors going around that Elon Musk is going to buy it, but I don't know. I really, really don't know. Right now, it seems like it's just a rumor. I mean, there's some reports that indicate that he's in discussions to purchase it, but I don't see it happening because that would literally be China pandering to just America and not caring about any of the other countries that use this app. So I don't think that's a good idea, but you know, one of our other beavers made a point to me earlier that they make so much money off American TikTok. Oh, I have live will end in 4 minutes and 53 seconds. I don't know, drag the puzzle piece into place. Oh, this is to maybe see that I'm a real person or something. Okay, cool. Learning new things every day. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, in terms of the TikTok ban, I don't really think it's a good idea for China to just sell it to an American and not care about all the other countries that are going to be affected by it. But at the end of the day, what the other beaver said is they do make a ton of money from American TikTok, a ton. And so, you know, if it does get banned, even all of us here in Canada, those who have built up like followings, communities, we're going to see the numbers drop, right? I don't know how many like bigger content creators are in here right now, but your list is probably at least 20% American, right? It's going to happen. Like I have, when I look at my analytics, I have a lot of American followers and I don't want them to go away. It's actually been a very, very sad time for me lately. This app has been so amazing and growing community and educating people. It's kind of heartbreaking to watch it go away for Americans, but we don't know the full story yet. We're still waiting. So I guess all we can do is have some hope, but I'm not going to hold on to too much of it because at the end of the day, I don't think the people in power want us organizing right now. And TikTok has been a good place to organize. So, right. What else can we talk about? Well, we can talk about Facebook. How do you guys feel about Facebook just not caring about facts anymore? Saying that you can now go on Facebook and call women property and not get banned and not get violations. You'll just have community notes, which means some people might complain, which people could do in comments anyways, but it won't get taken down. So, yeah, I think a lot of us have deleted Meta products in the last little while, but it goes to show you that this whole thing is just about money, right? Facebook banned Donald Trump. And now Facebook is sucking up to Donald Trump. And why would that be? I have a feeling like it's because Mark Zuckerberg wants to make more money. And what better way to make more money than to be able to use the influence of the Trump campaign to stop other countries as well from taking down free speech? Because they know that such a big base and so many of these hateful kind of conspiracy theories spreading groups are on these platforms, they don't want to lose that by being responsible. So, no fact checking. And yeah, apparently as well, it's now okay, and they're letting it slide, that you can talk about people in the LGBTQIA community as mentally ill, which really, really bothers me. And the real life repercussions of that are a lot of people that are going to be harmed and a lot of people that are going to harm themselves. This is not new. We have seen a lot of teenagers commit harm to themselves due to the harassment and bullying that they get online. Not everybody can have a thick skin and be dealt insults 24/7 all day long and just be okay. It takes a special kind of person to be able to do that. And it's not easy. Even for those of us that do deal with it every day, it's not an easy thing. So I can't imagine, you know, not having that tough skin and getting those insults every single day. It would be devastating. And that's kind of what's happening now. I ran into this issue on Facebook myself for the first time. I never had issues on Facebook, probably because I don't get involved with, any kind of political stuff on Facebook. I just stay all away from that. It was just my personal page up until now, promoting my other businesses that I've been involved of. But the other day I went on a post, and it was just something about, like, oh, tall men are great, but men that cook for you are even better. And so I saw a lot of, women in the comments. There was hundreds of comments. I saw a lot of women like being really sad that they're still single and saying like, oh, well, I wish I had a man in the first place. So I just wanted to make a nice, cute comment. And I was like, hey, for all my single ladies, just so you know, not having a man in your life is not the worst thing in the world. Like, you'll be fine. Everything's okay. It'll come when it comes. Don't worry about it. That's all I said. That's it. That's it. No bad words, no insults, no nothing, no man hating, no saying it's all men, nothing. And boy, did an army of men come out for me and said the nastiest things, to the point where that was the day that I was like, okay, I'm making Facebook private, and all I'm going to do now is just download my videos and my photos, and then I'm out. But it was the first time I had received that on Facebook on a random meme in some sort of like random page for funny memes. Like, it was nothing political at all. And I got called a communist for that one message. And these people had no idea who I was. They've never seen my political stuff. They had no idea of anything about me. And just FYI for all of you listening right now, I am not a communist. I'm not even an extreme socialist. I believe in socialist policies, but I still have, I'm a little bit closer to center than some other people. I'm not necessarily in center, but I definitely am not, on the extreme left side where you would consider it communism, even though most people do not even understand how to define that word properly. So from that point, it was wild. So I can only imagine, if I got that on that tiny little post, what other people are going to have to deal with, especially if they present themselves on their Facebook and Instagram platforms as unapologetically themselves. I'm afraid that they will be targeted. So I think it's time for all of us to say goodbye. Let's keep their stock dropping, okay? Let's talk a little bit about Elon Musk now at the end of the show, since we touched on it, right? About how he's getting involved in so many European governments, but specifically in this last week, it's been, it's been Germany and UK, right? So I don't know if you guys know about what's happened in UK. Good night, Zojin, good night. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know what happened in the UK, but he started talking about these really toxic narratives about these conspiracies about grooming gangs. And instead of, like, he framed politicians for being involved with these things. And what was so crazy to me is that the government just panicked. Like, policies were rushed through in response to this online outrage rather than actual evidence. It was absolute, like, political chaos down there. And now all the governments are getting together in the EU and talking about it and saying, like, this is election interference. And then what's even crazier is that he's been endorsing the AfD in Germany, which a lot of you guys know it's the alternative. It's the alternative for Germany. Basically, it's a neo-Yahtzee party. Like, let's be real, right? I promised everybody I'd be real here. So the AfD is kind of the closest thing right now in Germany to the original Yahtzee party. And they're in second place in the polls for the election that's coming up at the end of February. So, I keep telling people right now, I think that what happens in Europe can help us gauge what might happen in Canada, or whether we have, a hope in the world. Because if we see by any kind of crazy chance the AfD actually getting in Germany, that's a big red flag for the rest of the world. And then right after that, we're going to have the elections in Romania, that were recalled. So seeing what's happened after they've been recalled, seeing what's happened after those fake accounts got pulled offline, did that make a difference? Is the divide just bigger than it was? Who's going to get in there? But if Carlin gets in Romania, then again, something to worry about. And then our election is going to be soon after that. So I think those two elections can give us a little bit of a way for us to create some patterns in our mind about what's really happening. Yeah, the need to deprogram their people. What's going on in Georgia? Georgia's complicated. I think I'm going to have to make a whole video on it, because I need to do a little bit more research. I've been so, kind of into what's been going on in Canada and the United States lately, that I haven't paid as much attention. But the last I checked, things were getting a little bit complicated and messy. So I'm going to do more research on that, and I'll put out a video on it. Yeah, see, somebody else said Georgia is very complicated. Yeah, it's not something that I really want to touch on here, just because I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing, because there's so many different sides to the story. So again, I think I just need to kind of step back on that one, do more research, and then eventually I will make a post about it, or I'll talk about it next week or the week after that in this show. But yeah, so when it comes to Germany and Elon Musk getting involved in that, he even brought Alice Weidel, I think I'm saying it right, Alice Weidel. So she's the leader for the AfD party. And he brought her on to a live stream on X to introduce her to the world and tell people that they are the only alternative for Germany and everybody should be voting for her. So now the German government is like, whoa, is this not election interference? I think that live stream with her in it had more people in that live stream than we do in all of Canada. It was an insane number of people who were listening to that. So technically, this is interference. Like, I'm pretty sure that, I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, so it's called the Digital Services Act. So right now, Musk is under investigation because he could have, or not necessarily Musk is under investigation, but Alice is more so under investigation, because those actions of her being on his live could have been violating the Digital Services Act, which requires platforms to remain neutral during elections. That's obviously not what these platforms are doing. So realistically, if that's what it says in the Digital Services Act, then Facebook should be going down, X should be going down, technically even TikTok should be going down. Like, I don't want that to happen, of course. There's a lot more discourse on here that isn't as heavily skewed towards the right, but it's not good. Social media has had a grip on what people think is reality in the last little while. People don't trust mainstream media anymore. Unfortunately, people don't trust their politicians, that's for sure. People don't trust each other. People don't trust scholars. They don't trust teachers. Because, even say 20 years ago, when we didn't trust a politician, or when we didn't trust a journalist, we would go to the university professors, right? We would seek out that expert advice. But now that's kind of gone, right? And the experts that people are listening to are very like fringe experts, right? Like the doctors that were completely against, or the doctors that are against vaccination, and not just vaccination for COVID, but like vaccination for polio and vaccination for Hep B. And any doctor that says that That's a fringe doctor, and yet people are listening to them, right? Jordan Peterson is another good example. People say, oh, well, he's a psychiatrist, even though he got his psychiatry license taken away from him for being unethical. But people will still look at that and say, well, that's the expert. So it seems like the only experts of today are fringe experts. So it's weird. Like, we don't have any basis for like who to trust anymore, and that's a scary time to be alive. So I'm hoping that something happens where people are going to learn, and I do think that slowly people are waking up. Like, more and more people are definitely waking up. You know, we're seeing it right now where we're seeing a big part of the mega crowd go against, not Trump necessarily, but go against Elon. But Trump is backing Elon. So I think we're going to see a lot of chaos, like within their own parties and within their own support groups, right? You had all these people that were against immigration, and now Musk wants to bring in HB1 visas, which pissed off a lot of megas, right? Like Steve Bannon and Laura Loomer have now, started a war against Elon Musk, which is honestly going to be quite amusing to watch. But I think we're going to see a lot of these like top billionaires and top people that are trying to completely control the narrative right now. I think we're going to see a lot of infighting between them. And that's honestly something that we can hope for. Because if they wreak havoc on themselves, that gives us a chance to organize on the bottom. So I'm hoping that we'll see them disagree with each other. I'm really trying to pick my words here so I can stay proper for the live. All right, I think that I'm just going to go through some comments here and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, there's a lot of people going off about the WEF conspiracies. How about you guys look up the IDU, just for fun? Jordan Peterson is the Temu version of Roger Stone. Yeah. Yeah, Joe Rogan, yeah, that's another one. Somebody said, I would still like to think that we still have some faith in actual experts. Yeah, a lot of us do. A lot of us do have faith in actual experts, right? Half the population still has faith in actual experts, but is half enough? Great. All right. So, yeah, we're not having people come up today. Today is just news hour. We do open discussion on Thursday evenings. And with that, I just want to tell you guys that Beaver Politics is going to have a show every night of the week from Monday to Friday, which is super exciting. So I want to tell you a little bit about that. Monday is going to be Indigenous Matters. So that is going to be a show hosted by Treaty Sixbirder. She's an absolute wealth of knowledge in this area, and she is going to be talking about how politics in Canada affects Indigenous matters, and also just talking about other Indigenous matters that would benefit all of us to learn from. Tuesday is going to be me doing News Hour every Tuesday, just kind of catching you guys up on what's going on in our current political climate in Canada and internationally. It's going to be just like this. I'm going to read off some comments. I'm going to have a very casual chat. On Wednesday, we are going to have Generation Next, or Next Generation. I think Generation Next. I wrote it down as, Gen Next. So this is actually going to be towards more so talking and targeting youth and seeing what the younger people have to say about politics, seeing how whether they're going to be voting, whether they're not going to be voting, what are their views, what are their opinions. But we're really going to be focusing on the youth, because I think a lot of us here, most of us here are a little bit older. So young people don't really get involved in politics that often. So we want to see if we can if we can bring them on the panel, talk about issues that relate to them and their specific age group right now. So that's what we're going to be doing Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to be doing our open discussion, open panel. We're going to pick a couple of topics that are just going to help us stay on point, but we're going to let people come up. We're going to discuss things amongst each other. It's going to be a wonderful time. Like the Thursdays have been for the last little while. Always good shows. And then Friday, we're going to have Debate Central. And I'm so excited to tune into that because we have Nerdy leading it, and she's great. She's absolutely great when it comes to debate. So I'm really excited to watch that. So I hope that you guys tune in for that. Don't forget to also subscribe if you want to support us here on this channel. We do have subscriptions available. But yeah, so if you want to support us, subscribe. If you want to just tune into our other shows, we would love to have you there. This has been a lot of fun. So I hope to see you next Tuesday. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening. If anybody has anything else that they want to add right here at the end that has to do with... Okay, cool. Lots of Beaver stickers. I'm loving the Beaver stickers. Thank you. It's okay if you arrived late. I'll be doing this every Tuesday from now on, so you'll see me next week. Don't worry. All right, guys. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your night, and I will chat with you soon.